Entertainment World Soldier here, and I'm back to talk about Star Wars Bad Batch. Now, I've been away for a bit because, the whole Gina Carano thing pissed me off, and I'm just leading with that because, listen, I was angry, and I'm still angry with what happened to her, but, you know, time's got to move on, and I was able to find a way to watch this without giving Disney any money. So, hell, let's do a review. So, this was a great episode. There are problems and there are issues for me, but all in all, it was a great episode. I like the Bad Batch. They're a great team. I love the storyline of Crosshair in this because it made a lot of sense that he would do what he did. And Hunter's story is pretty good too. But in all, yes, this is definitely something that I want to continue to watch. And it's a reason that I love watching Star Wars. Epic story, and I love, being able to watch this and, ask questions and, enjoy it without being hit over the head with politics. Now, is there an FJW slant to this? Yes, and we all know who it is. We all know who it is. We all known for a long time now that Omega was definitely gonna be an issue. An issue. Listen, she's not a bad character. She hasn't done anything so far, but there was something at the end that, for me, it does scream Mary Sue. And if you get pissed off at me saying that, then, well, that's my opinion. If you don't like it, you don't have to watch. But listen, she's not a bad character. She hasn't done anything terrible. But what she did at the end, yeah, I saw it coming from a mile off. But still, you got to explain how she did that. Not just say she just was able to do what she did out of nowhere. I mean, you could have... I'll get to that. But everything else, I loved the storyline. And I loved how long this episode was. My God, an hour and 15. Why the hell are they not making every episode of The Bad Batch this long? I am sick and tired of this, half an hour shit from Star Wars. Stop it. If I'm asking for you to make more content, why are you not making more content? This episode nearly made me want to resubscribe to fucking Disney Plus, even after Gina Carano thing. That's how good it is to me. I loved every character, and God, I love the Bad Batch. I even like Crosshair because, again, everything in this story makes sense. Are there issues? Yes. There is a big issue, and again, it's not Omega, it's Tarkin. His storyline, to me, what he was doing was, I think, I will get into that, but I think it was way too fast what he was doing. I think they shouldn't have done it this quick. But other than that, this was great. I love the art of it as well. It's so much crisper, it's sharper. I love it, and I can't wait to see more of the artwork. I love the music as well. It's Star Wars, so obviously if you like Star Wars, you're gonna love the music too. Yeah, there's not much wrong with this show. I mean, everything else I can forgive because, again, the story makes sense and it's fun to watch. That's all I ask for. I'm not asking for Star Wars to capitulate to me or to fucking make stories that I want. Listen, just make a good story and I ain't got a problem. But, yeah, again, a great episode. Now I'm going to go into spoilers now because I want to get into my problems with the show. So, spoilers in 3, 2, 1. Yeah, my biggest problem with this show has to be Tarkin and how quick he was to call for the decommissioning of the clones. Like, the Empire has just fucking has only just formed, and now Tarkin's deciding to get rid of the army. The amount of time it's going to take Tarkin to recruit normal soldiers, that's going to be years. So for me, Tarkin doing it this quick makes no sense. I mean, I get it, and again, they do make it kind of believable when Tarkin brings up the cost of the clones. And again, that makes sense. But to even consider decommissioning right now, it's dumb. You've just formed an empire. You've just taken over the Separatist Alliance. There's probably going to be hundreds of terrorist groups or, militias out there that will hate the fact that Empire's won. And we all know the future of Star Wars, that the Stormtroopers are like the shittest soldiers ever, even though Obi-Wan says the best marksman in the galaxy. But Star Wars has always had that problem with the Stormtroopers. But yeah, it's never made sense to me why they ever decommissioned the clones. But I understood it to the point of, George Lucas didn't think of the clones in the original series, in the original movies, so he has to explain why they got rid of them. I get it. But I don't like how fast it's going. Because, again, you've just made the Empire. You need to start, asserting your control over these new territories, and you need to start showing that the Empire is a force to be reckoned with, and the clones are obviously the soldiers to do that. So, it doesn't make sense why Tarkin is doing this quickly. But I don't think we're going to see the clones gone like next episode. I think we're going to see, and I hope we see this, I think we're going to see the Kaminoan uprising in this season. I hope we do. Because I would love for that to be canon. Because it makes complete sense. If the Empire's thinking about getting rid of the clones, they're not going to let the Kaminoans make clone armies for anybody else. So I hope we see that. We're starting to see a lot of the Kaminoans starting to disobey. I mean, that one Kaminoan, the one from the previous seasons of the Clone Wars, where she was working with Palpatine on the chip thing. Yeah, she seems to be working against the Empire now, which I'm liking, because it makes sense that the Kaminoans would start trying to protect themselves, because they're now the only threat to the Empire. Well, and the only threat the Empire would see for now. And that is my biggest problem with this episode. Again, I actually like Omega. She seems sweet. I like her character so far. My only problem with Omega is that the last scene is her grabbing a fucking rifle and shooting Crosshair. That's stupid. And again, she even says it in the episode. That's the first time she's picked up a rifle in her life, and she was able to get a clean shot. Listen, first time I picked up a rifle, I was pretty bad. Okay? You have to train to get that good at marksmanship. And it makes no sense that she could just pick up a rifle and that's it. Again, someone's going to say, well, when I picked up a rifle, come on, it's 9 out of 10. I mean, that's like 1 chance out of 10 that would work for you. But that's my only problem with Omega, was that one scene. Other than that, I think she's actually sweet, she's a nice character, and, everything else she did in this episode made sense. She's not a Mary Sue because she's a good character. I'm not going to say she's Mary Sue, alright? Maybe I've gone a little bit over the top on that. She's not a Mary Sue because she picked up a rifle and was able to shoot it. But it is starting to kind of go into that area of, is she just going to be this one character who can do anything, can do everything, and she doesn't need any training? I don't want to see that. I don't want another Rey. This could be a good character. She's not pissed me off. Even with the rifle, I still like her. And, finding out that she's a clone, a girl clone, yeah, I'm hoping they explain that a lot more and I'm hoping it's for the reason I think it is. And I think the reason is she's Force sensitive. And that would actually be interesting to see that Kaminoans are trying to clone Jedi. Because that is like, oh, it's a great story. If you know your EU history, there's so many stories about cloning Force sensitives that were absolutely amazing. And I really am looking forward to learning more about Omega. Now, about the rest of the show, I loved the scene at the beginning with Kanan and his master. Listen, I don't like the actor who voices Kanan. I think he's a prick. But I did enjoy the story. I did enjoy how his master got killed. I thought it was a bit quick, but it made sense, you know, when Tech gets the, you know, information about Obi-Wan fighting Grievous, and I was pretty much, yes, Order 66 is coming, and it came a bit too quick, but I can forgive it. We got a great scene of a Jedi getting killed by the clone troopers, and then we had the chase scene with Hunter and the Bad Batch trying to get Kanan. And I loved the scene between Hunter and Crosshair, because Crosshair is literally trying to do his job, and Hunter is confused by the order, and we find out later that the chips inside the Bad Batch don't work as well because of their deformities. So they're able to resist the chip. Well, most of them are. Apparently Crosshair, he can deal with it. I think he's just, you know, too much of a soldier, that he just wants to follow the orders. So I am liking that about his character, showing a difference between them, which is good. The one thing about the first scene is that it completely, you know, destroys the comic of Kanan. Well, destroys Kanan's comics, because that did not happen that way in the comics. I mean, Kanan in the comics wasn't, I think in a battle, I think they were, I don't really remember as much about the comics, but I do remember that they were sitting around a campfire when the clone troopers got the orders about Order 66. So they have changed the comics. So when somebody tells me the comics are like, they're canon, don't ever think that, because, you know, unless it's on film and it's proven on film, the comics mean jack shit. So they've definitely pretty much made getting those comics pointless. But again, I think I enjoyed the first scene. I enjoyed the Order 66 moment. Other than that, my other favourite scene was definitely the scene with the clone troopers watching the speech with Palpatine announcing the Empire. That was great. And I love how they didn't just get some voice actor in, they just used the same scene from the movies, so I love that. I loved the fact that Kaminoans are asking more questions with the Empire. The scene between, you know, the Prime Minister and Tarkin explaining to him that, yes, the Empire is going to need troopers. You know, it would be foolish for you to decommission the clones. I love that scene. Because, again, I might not like how fast it's going, but I do like how, you know, Tarkin explains his position and the Kaminoans explain their position. And I love that political stuff. Because, you know, I do like a little bit of, you know, lore politics, you know, Star Wars politics. That's actually interesting to me. Another great scene was the training scene with the Bad Batch showing Tarkin that the clones are still useful to the Empire. I love that scene. And I love that in that scene we saw the Kaminoan robots that we saw in the Force Unleashed. If you've played Force Unleashed 2, when we're in the Kaminoans when we go to Kamino, you see those droids in the cloning chambers. You jump on them to get up to the boss level. So I love seeing those droids back in Star Wars. Again, I'm hoping that we get a new Force Unleashed, hopefully. I love that scene. I also love the fact they brought in the first generation Dark Troopers, because that's what Tarkin sends out to fight the Bad Batch, and Bad Batch kind of surprised that Tarkin's using live ammunition, which I love that. The fact that Tarkin's, pretty much showing that the Empire's not, mucking around. They want to see if the Bad Batch are what they are cut up to, well, what they can do. And I loved how they were able to defeat the Dark Troopers by using one of the Dark Troopers to pretty much slaughter the rest of them. I love that scene. Problem with this scene I would kind of have is, why didn't the Kaminoans step in a lot more? I know Tarkin says that he'll pay for everything, but even so, the clone troopers are very valuable to the Kaminoans, especially 99's squad. I mean, come on, that's a lot would be wasted if one of them dies. So I think there should have been more of a stop to it. The Kaminoans should have been like, no, Tarkin, we're not doing this. And Tarkin should have pretty much put a blast on their heads, and you kind of should have seen that scene of the Empire's now pretty much taking control of Kamino now. Because I'm hoping we get that scene soon. Of like, Kaminoans pretty much being taken out. But other than that, there was a scene with Saw Gerrera. And again, my biggest problem with this episode is everything is going way too fast. Like, you need to slow down. Okay, we shouldn't be talking about a rebellion yet, but yet Saw Gerrera is like literally an empire has been announced. Let's now fight the Empire. It's like, I don't think it would work like that. I think Saw Gerrera would have given the Empire a chance because he hated the Separatists, and the Empire's pretty much defeated the Separatists. That's what he was originally fighting. Just going straight to another war, I mean, I don't like that. I mean, I think Saw Gerrera would have given it a chance, just like most people give the Empire a chance in the beginning, and then you start seeing how bad it is under the Empire, then you start a rebellion. I mean, for me, this should have been the clones sent over to attack what was left of a separatist army. Saw Gerrera is there to help them out. He says he's looking forward to the Empire, but you start seeing like the scenes with like clone troopers taking over military bases, removing what's the planet called again? Alderaan, that's it. The Alderaan planet, Alderaan's army getting replaced with clone troopers. I would love to have seen scenes like that, and like Saw Gerrera questioning it, and like Hunter like saying, yeah, it looks wrong, and Crosshair saying, no, the Empire's here to pretty much keep you safe, we're just taking control. Like, I would have loved a little bit more than just Saw Gerrera hears about the Empire and just goes nuts and says, we got to fight the Empire now. Yeah, I didn't like that either. Again, I think this episode's gone way too fast with some stories. I think they should have slowly brought that in. Like, it should have been, I think there should have been a time, I think we should have gone in time a little bit, like a year after Order 66, and like the Bad Batch have been going on like Imperial missions, and they don't agree with it. They're starting to get, they're starting to not believe in the Empire, but Crosshair still believes in it, and that's where the rift is. I would have loved to have seen that. I don't think it should be this fast that the Bad Batch have just turned on the Empire like that. But other than that, I loved the Crosshair scene when pretty much Tarkin sees that Crosshair's the most loyal out of them. He still wants to fight for the Empire, and so he tells the Kaminoans to pretty much strengthen his inhibitor chip, and they do. And you get this amazing scene with him in new armor, and the Bad Batch having to accept that, Crosshair is a bad guy now, and I love that. And yeah, I loved everything in this episode. I did have problems. I think if you are going to watch, I think if you're thinking about watching this, and if you are like me, you're angry, listen, Give this a chance. It's a great show. There's nothing really bad. There's just stories. I mean, I think it's just too quick. That's my biggest problem. So I think if you're on the fence about watching this, don't be. Watch it, you'll enjoy it, and you might even be looking forward to Friday's episode, which I am definitely going to be watching. And yeah, if this is what we get now from Star Wars, I will be happy. And that's my review. If you like this review, give it a like. If you dislike this review, give it a dislike. And if you like my content, do think about subscribing. I mean, I'm hoping to do a lot more videos now that I'm back. So, hail the Phantom Menace, long live CG, and fuck the SJWs. Bye.